Welcome back to Kossi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kossi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. Lots of stories to dive into this early morning. Thomas Partey, Arsenal are monitoring the situation of the midfielder while he's on international duty with Ghana. Bit disrespectful, but it is quite a precaution, so we have nothing to do. Granit Xhaka, there is a new deal being rumored for Granit Xhaka. Arsenal want to extend his deal. Of course, I think his deal expires in 2023. So we have to extend his deal or let it run until the end. In the comment section, talk to me. What do you think about this one? Should Xhaka get a new deal? Does he deserve it? Has he earned your respect? In my opinion, he absolutely deserves it. It depends. Is it 3 years? Is it 2 years? But in my opinion, I would give him a new deal, honestly. We'll talk about that as well. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed the interest in Jesper Lindstrom and said, yes, there is interest from Arsenal, but currently cannot confirm any offers on the table. So we'll talk about that as well. And according to Ekrem Corner, Tomiyasu is not happy at Arsenal with the lack of game time. Of course, Ben White is starting ahead of him this campaign. We'll talk about Tomiyasu's interview and react to it. But according to Ekrem Corner, a couple of clubs from France and England are interested in the Japanese right back. He can also play as a centre back, of course, so he's literally a defender. Hit the like button for me, subscribe to the podcast as well. Let's get this video to 300 likes. And of course, one thing you have to do for me in the comment section is let's join the debate. Xhaka new deal or Xhaka no new deal? Let's have that conversation. I'm going to be in the comment section 1 hour after I have uploaded this, and I'm gonna be reacting to all your comments. Now, let's start off with what happened yesterday. William Saliba was in action for France, kept a clean sheet. He did come on for Jules Koundé. I think it was in the first half. Was it in the first half? Yeah. So France beat Austria 2-0. William Saliba made an appearance. The good news is he played, and the other bit of good news is that he didn't pick up an injury. We don't have any injury problems with him. France do have a couple of injuries. He played alongside Rafa Varane. The partnership was absolutely late. I don't think he's going to be playing more as a regular centre-back for them, because Jules Koundé and Rafa Varane are set to be the key centre-back partnership. But of course, Saliba played yesterday, played very, very well. They kept a clean sheet. I don't think Austria really posed a big threat offensively. But of course, Saliba being in the team and of course, keeping a clean sheet, that really matters. Now, Saka and Aaron Ramsdale are in action today as England take on Italy. Saka is tipped to start in that game. I don't think there is a better right back, a better right winger in the UK than him. So I don't think you think about the likes of Jack Grealish, Jared Bowen. All these players are not better than Saka currently. So expect him to start for England against Italy. And then Aaron Ramsdale, given the fact that Pickford is injured. Of course, they do have a couple of options. Nick Pope is there. Dean Anderson is there as well. But Ramsdale is tipped to start in goal as well. So we pray that they play. We pray that they play without any injuries. Martin Odegaard, the confirmation arrived 21 hours ago. I was asleep probably. Martin Odegaard has traveled for the Norwegian side for his Norwegian duties, the national team. So I think we can confirm that he's not ill. So if the Tottenham game is going to carry on, if it's going to be held, then Martin Odegaard will play. So he's joined up with the Norwegian team. He might play that role as a fourth coach, just like it was suggested. Or if they feel he's okay and he's training well, they will actually give him some game time. So that is it in terms of international break. Talking about the international break, before we go away, Thomas Partey did join up with the Ghanaian, side, the country, the national team, and it looks like Arsenal are in constant talks, constant communication with Ghana to make sure that Partey doesn't pick up an injury. Now, the problem with Thomas Partey is that he's having a recurring injury in his thigh, right? So the injury is recurring. Arsenal cannot be 100% sure that when he came back against Brentford, he was totally okay. In my opinion, when I look back at that game, I don't think Partey was 100% fit. And this season, I've not seen a 100% fit Partey. I think Mikel Arteta just decided to gamble it, play him in that game, no matter the level of fitness. So we are in constant communication with the Ghanaian side to see that he doesn't actually pick up an injury. We are worried that if he picks up an injury on Ghana, then we might see him after the World Cup, which will be very, very bad. We need him in October. We have so many games in October, so many important games. Tottenham, Liverpool, Leeds United, Manchester City. Is Manchester City in October? I think that was postponed, but then you have the likes of PSV in October as well. 9 games, you need Thomas Partey to be available. So Partey, Arsenal in constant communication. I don't know when Ghana play, but when I'm going to find out, then I'll tell you in the subsequent videos when they are playing. I think it is it AFCON qualifiers Africans will be playing in. For me, I would suggest if Partey, if Ghana are not going to play in AFCON qualifiers, if it is friendlies, then Partey should not play. That is my own opinion. Just to make sure that we cater for him, because they need him in the World Cup as well. Right, they will need him in the World Cup. Actually, this actually works for Ghana. Arsenal are using Partey sparingly. They should use Partey sparingly as well. I mean, any Ghanaians on this on the show, don't get offended. Please do not get offended. Now, the Tottenham Arsenal game, the North London derby that should happen on the first day of October, is in danger of being postponed as well. Now, the reason is not the Queen or paying respects or anything like that. The problem is with the railway workers. So the railway workers have actually scheduled their railway strikes on the first day and second day of October, and we are expecting that all games, especially in London, on that day might be postponed. This is what I don't get. This is what I really, really don't get. We have 2 weeks without football. And of course, no football doesn't mean people are not using the train. Why is it on the first day and the second day of the return of the Premier League? It is absolutely unfair. But of course, you have to think about the industrial rights. You have to think about the industrial privileges these people are actually fighting for. And as a human, as a person who has worked for a tyrant in my life, I think I really, really do understand. So if Arsenal Tottenham Hotspur is postponed, it's going to be the worst experience in my life as a Premier League fan. You have Manchester City, Arsenal postponed. That is confirmed. Then you have Arsenal, Everton postponed. Arsenal, PSV was postponed. And now Arsenal, Tottenham Hotspur postponed. I think the Premier League, FA, and whoever is in charge of these railway, who's in charge of the welfare of the railway workers should actually, sit on a round table, discuss this issue, and get a solution. I don't see why people should suffer, why we should suffer, because I'm going to pay my subscription on the first day of October. I don't see why I should suffer, again, paying my subscription, and there is no football because someone has not done their job right? So that game is going to be the early kickoff on Saturday, 1st October. But if it doesn't happen, then the reason is railway strikes. The strikes that have been scheduled last weekend. The Brighton Crystal Palace game was postponed due to the same reason, railway strike. So let's see if the FA Premier League and all the parties involved can sit on the table and find a solution before it is actually too late. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that there is strong interest in Jesper Lindstrom from Arsenal, but he says right now he cannot say Arsenal have made any offers. He doesn't have any knowledge about that. All he can confirm that there is strong interest from a couple of clubs around Europe, and Arsenal is one of those clubs interested. So according to the Build, of course, we talked about this yesterday in all the in the Arsenal transfer show. Arsenal have contacted the agent of Jesper Lindstrom from Eintracht Frankfurt. The 20-year-old is keen on a Premier League move. So I think, look, when Fabrizio talks about it, it means something. So Arsenal are interested in just Lindstrom. That is confirmed. The question is, will we make a move in January? Will we make a move in the summer? Is it even that serious? But of course, Fabrizio coming out to speak about it, it means there is some fire, and that's why we are seeing the smoke. And probably there are some positive sides. Not a bad signing if it happens, but not one that would really 100% convince me. I wouldn't be bragging on the streets that we signed just Lindstrom. But something with Fabio Vieira, Arsenal just like that kind of profile. You know nothing about them, but they're convinced about them, and they feel they're the right profile. They'll bring the same thing. The exact quality desired to the club. So Fabrizio says strong interest in just Lindstrom. Contact with the agents, he's not sure about that. Contact with entering Frankfurt, he's not sure about that. But of course, we are still very, very far away from January. We have October, we have November, we have December. All those 3 months, anything can happen. Arsenal can, advance their interest. The player can pick up a long-term injury. We can agree a deal. So between now and January, a lot of time, there is still a lot of time for us to, do whatever we want to do. So we will see what happens with Jesper Lindstrom. Now, Takehiro Tomiyasu has been a subject of discussion, and Ekram Kona is one of the journalists that I really, really love. But what he has said for me just shows that journalists are now desperate. They have nothing to talk about, and I just don't understand why Arsenal has become a very, very, pivotal point of discussion. So according to Ekram Kona, Takehiro Tomiyasu is not happy at Arsenal, especially with the lack of game time that he's receiving from Mikel Arteta currently. And a couple of clubs in England and France are looking at the Japanese right back. Okay, he's not happy. Clubs are not, clubs are looking at him. The good thing here is that Ekram Kona doesn't specify whether the player wants to leave Arsenal or not. That is a huge, huge positive. There's some stories I don't even want to react to because I know they're absolutely lies. They're absolute lies. Like this one. I think Ekram has put into context the Tomiyasu situation, and he's gone, okay, he's not playing. He has dropped out of the starting lineup. He's not happy. Why don't I say clubs in England and France are interested? I think there is no depth to this story, honestly. Listen, this is my reason why there is no depth to this story. Takehiro Tomiyasu was speaking to the Japanese media during this international break, and this is what he said. I know what is required in this league, and it is quite high, and I'm not satisfied. When you look at the players selected as starters in the Premier League games, you will understand what is required to be there. I will work hard in order to get my position back in the starting lineup. I'm going to read that excerpt again. What is required in this league is quite high, and I'm not satisfied. When you look at the players selected as starters in Premier League games, you will understand what is required to be there. I will work hard in order to get my position back. Now, a player with such a mentality, a player who comes out and says those words, is not one that is looking to run away from competition. I think this is what pundits and journalists have failed to understand and agree with at Arsenal. We're trying to build a squad, a 25-man squad that has 2 players competing per position. Ramsdale and Matana, Zinchenko and Karantiane, Ben White and Tomiyasu. And many people are not happy that Arsenal is building such a squad. And that is why Tomiyasu is being linked with Madrid, being linked with Manchester City as a backup. So he cannot be a backup at Arsenal to Zinchenko, but he can be a backup at Manchester City to Joao Cancelo. The idea of journalists and pundits is that Arsenal are not big enough to have 2 players per position. And it's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. You look at the fixture schedule we're having this year, actually this season, and I don't easily understand why people have failed to get it in their mind that whatever is happening in football, you need a big squad. You need a big quality squad. That is what everybody is looking at. That is what every club is working for, and that is the achievement that Arsenal are trying to get in the next 2-3 years. So Takehiro Tomiyasu for me I don't see how, he should be worried. He can play as a right back. He can play as a centre back. He can play as a left back. So anyone that picks up an injury in this Arsenal side, Tomiyasu is the first option. And he knows that. And he definitely knows that. And for me, again, guys, when you think about it, it's too early for Tomiyasu to say, I'm not happy with the lack of game time. It is 7 games in. It is 7 games in, for Christ's sake. So, look, this is absolute slander. It's the same thing like, I think pundits are trying to have a go to Mikel Arteta. Or why are you playing Ben White at right back who's a centre back, and you're not playing Tomiyasu who's a right back, and you're leaving him on the bench? They're trying to get a goal at us. They're trying to get some negative press around us, and I just don't get it. I just don't get it. It just doesn't sit well with me. It's the same thing. Just like the Premier League, they have selected the Player of the Month in September. Arsenal won 3-0 in our last game, and of course we lost 3-1 to Manchester United. We do not have an Arsenal player in the Players of the Month in September. I'm quite surprised. I'm absolutely astonished. You have Rashford in Player of the Month. You have Iwobi. You have I think I don't know. You have Kevin De Bruyne as well, and a couple of other players. I think Pierre-Emerick Højbjerg is also on the list, and we don't have an Arsenal player there. It's quite astonishing. Saka in that month scored and assisted twice, right? In that month. Xhaka has been the best midfielder in the Premier League in the first 7 appearances. For me, apart from, I think, Kevin De Bruyne, Xhaka has been the best midfielder in the Premier League. And Gabriel Jesus, this guy, I'm so surprised that we don't have a player mentioned in Player of the Month in September. It is quite astonishing. So, whatever we've done to the Premier League, to the FA, to the pundits, to the press, I don't even care. I don't even fucking care, because it just looks like they're against us. That is why all these kind of stories are leaking. Mikel Arteta is at fault for playing Ethan Nwaneri, and now Tomiyasu is not happy with Mikel Arteta because he's not playing him. Take a break. If you guys do not have any content to create, take a break. Just take a break. And then finally, Granit Xhaka. There is a deal being proposed, a new deal for Granit Xhaka. Of course, it's really, really done well. In my opinion, he's one of the players that will have earned the respect to get a new deal at Arsenal. Now, he's Mikel Arteta's favorite, and I think rightly so, honestly. One thing that has convinced me about Mikel Arteta is Granit Xhaka. When a manager can see what you can't see in a player, that is a real manager. The likes of Arsene Wenger going out there and picking up players from the streets, from the streets of nowhere, and then he brings them to the scenes, and then they become big stars. Look, I was watching his interview, and he said the problem he did in his internal career, was not one, signing Cristiano Ronaldo. You can find that interview on Lad Bible on YouTube. I think it was done by Ian Wright. He said signing Cristiano Ronaldo in his earlier days of his career, and then in his later days of his career, signing N'Golo Kante. And he says, when you look at N'Golo Kante, he wins the ball back without committing a foul. So this is the same with Mikel. He's gone and looked at Granit Xhaka, and he said, there is a player in this guy, but how do I bring the best out of him? First, I'm going to create a new position for him high up the pitch. Second, I'm going to motivate him. And third, I'm going to build his confidence and boost up his confidence. And I'll have a player that I want. And he's done that. So for me, if you ask me, should Granit Xhaka again be dropped? I was the guy against Granit Xhaka, drop him. But right now, he's undroppable. He's absolutely undroppable. And the amount of hard work, the amount of quality he's providing us with, the change we are seeing not only at Arsenal, but with Granit Xhaka, and not only with the players, but also with the whole mode. It is absolutely beautiful. So should Xhaka get a new deal? He's 30. 3 more years, probably. I don't know what you people think. I think 3 more years. because I think I was on the football terrace when Xhaka signed a new contract, and these were my words. I said, "What has Xhaka done to deserve a 3-year deal?" I still remember that. That was 2020. Yeah, that was 2020. And I said, "What has Xhaka done to deserve a new deal?" 2020, 2021. Right, for me, 2021, 2022, 2 years later, he deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. Get him on a new deal. Yeah, I'm okay with that. 2 years, 3 years, just don't make it over exaggerated. Don't give him these crazy 300k, 200k, 250k per week. Don't do that. Give him a sizable amount of money so that we don't attract attention. And then he's done all right. For me, he's absolutely done all right. So that is all I want to talk about this morning. We are diving into the afternoon. Of course, we'll talk about some other news in the evening. I'll do my video about the best signing, I think, today, and the 6 things we learned about Gabriel Jesus at Arsenal so far. Today, Zinchenko and a couple of other players as we travel through the international break. Follow me on Instagram, Kosi_19, Twitter, Kosi Arsenal. Speak to you very soon.